It's great to have you join me today. I know you're really, really busy, so don't take this time lightly. However, I know a lot of the viewers, I believe, would like to know more about you and what you do in the firm. So could you maybe just spend a little bit of time just sharing with us exactly what you do?
Okay. I wear all hats: administrator, door opener,
Okay.
receptionist.
Yeah.
But recently I found that I'm doing a lot more disrepair cases. You'll find it's very cold outside, and you find that that's when tenants feel the effect of any disrepairs even more. So, for example, if there are gaps in the windows or the windows haven't been installed properly, they feel drafts, maybe condensation will build up around there. And also I have a few cases at the moment where the landlords have failed to do the insulation in the loft space, roof space.
Yeah.
So literally the heating costs are going through the roof.
Yeah.
I have a couple elderly tenant clients at the moment.
Yeah.
They find it hard to heat the property in general, but without loft insulation, they're finding that they cannot afford to put the heating on, and even when they do, they cannot keep warm. So that can fall in disrepair.
Okay.
I have a few hearings coming up at the moment, also with regards to disrepair. So I'm taking a lot of time to prepare and make sure I get the best result I can for my clients.
Fantastic.
I've been doing a couple of pro bono cases as well. The one that I've done recently, currently ongoing now, is in relation to homelessness.
Wow. Okay.
I've had clients been placed in accommodation which was clearly unsuitable for them.
Right.
I don't have legal aid franchise,
sure.
But I knew these people and they contacted me, so I decided to make some representations to the local authority, and they've reviewed their decision within a day.
Wow.
And they're now going to provide suitable accommodation.
Fantastic.
For them.
Yeah. So you've talked a lot about housing disrepair. Is there other areas of law that you focus on as well?
Yes, I too like wills.
Okay.
So I draft wills.
Yeah.
Another one is housing, but it's possession.
Okay.
So I've had a few cases recently where landlords wish to recover arrears, or wish to just actually recover possession of their property due to no fault of the tenants, but they need to move on. They want to sell the property. I also do just general civil litigation. So I've had people come to me with disputes like, I asked these people to carry out some work in my property. They didn't carry out the work properly, but they've charged me the full price. Can you help me get some of my money back? General civil litigation.
Okay, excellent. So, and thank you for sharing that. I know it's really important. I know you're very passionate. What got you? Obviously, you've been in law for quite a while.
Yes.
So the first question I'll ask you is what got you passionate about law in the first place? I know obviously you're relatively local to North London. I mean, would you mind sharing a little bit about your background and how you got to, from how you started to where you are now?
Okay.
If you don't mind. Put you on the spot there.
Yeah, a little bit. It's been quite a long journey. Yes, I know I look very young, but I've been doing law for over 20 odd years now. I started as a teenager in a firm in Tottenham. I was passionate at the time about helping people who I felt were wrongly treated by the police. And you could see people being put in prison, and I was thinking, oh, that's not fair, that's not right. So I started in a criminal firm of solicitors. My passion soon changed, and I didn't want to do criminal law because my passion was to help people. And I know there are a lot of injustices, but I felt that a lot of the criminals were putting themselves in those positions. So I studied and I worked at a few firms doing what's called outdoor clerking at the time. And I came across housing, and it was, sometimes where you just click. So I was like, oh, I saw homeless people and I was like, really, that's not fair. And I saw people with inadequate provisions. I saw landlords too, who were suffering because everyone gets the opinion. If you say landlord, you think, oh, that's a wealthy person.
Right.
They have loads of property, loads of equity.
Yeah.
And you don't actually think about what detrimental effect and financial impact it has on them when their tenants ruin the property or mess them around. So from both sides, I found that if I was able to do something, it would be something to help, genuinely help people.
Okay.
So yeah, I done homelessness quite a lot when I was doing my training contract.
Yeah.
And I became very passionate about that.
Yeah.
Because you know, one day you could be working and you can have a nice rented property or even your own property, and things take a turn for the worse, and you find that you can't afford to pay the rent or your mortgage, and you're out. You know, and it's not your fault. And then you've got the local authority say, "Oh, it's your fault. You shouldn't have done this. We're not going to provide you with housing." And I love to challenge them and make sure the clients have housing, but. That's not something I do now regularly because, as I said, I don't have a legal aid franchise. I do disrepair on conditional fee agreements.
Okay. And can you explain a little bit more about what a conditional fee agreement is?
Of course. So I'm just going to take it back a little bit. So when I used to work for other firms as solicitors in relation to disrepair, they would have a legal aid franchise, and that means that the legal services would pay the solicitors for providing representation. And they had a review and they decided that you can still have legal aid funding for disrepair, but the level of disrepair had to be high, so high that it was a significant impact on your health and safety. And then as soon as that is eliminated, i.e. the landlords have carried out that work and the disrepair has been resolved, the legal aid the legal aid certificate was then revoked. And we could no longer pursue the case for the tenant to actually receive damages, to receive some money for all the suffering that they've gone through. So at that time, a lot of firms started to offer what's called a conditional fee agreement. And this is where, if a client comes to me and says, oh, the ceiling's fallen through, the windows have got gaping holes in them or so forth, I will assess their case. And if I believe that there is evidence that there is disrepair and the landlords haven't done the work that they're meant to do within what's called a reasonable period. And reasonable depends on what level of disrepair, because I mean, if you've got no gas and hot water, 28 days is not reasonable. They have to do that. They have to do that.
That's it, instant,
They have to do that within 24 hours or at least come round and try and assess the situation and provide temporary heaters. But that's another story. But if I assess the situation and I see that there is a good case for disrepair, I will then say to them, I can carry out the work. I don't have a legal aid franchise, but what I will do is I will do the work to the best of my ability on the premise that if you win, I can take a success fee. And we are governed with regards to how much success fee we can take from people. And I stick to the minimum. And I could go into more detail, but I won't go into more detail.
So effectively, it's similar to no win, no fee.
It is no win, no fee. A conditional fee agreement. That's what it is.
So that will help a lot of people who may be thinking they can't afford a solicitor, but at least they now know there's a competent solicitor locally in North London that can help them regarding pretty much any matter, whether it's housing disrepair, civil litigation, etc.
And I'm actually passionate because I mean I've been in this situation where I've spent a lot of money doing up a property that I've rented, and things have gone wrong, and the landlord's instructed people to come around to do work for to make it better, and they've actually made the problem worse.
I see.
So you know, I understand how it feels. You know, you can get quite anxious and upset about it. But with regards to the disrepair, I've recently sent out some feedback questionnaires to some of my clients, and just a couple of them have responded. So if you guys want to, if you're thinking about instructing someone in relation to disrepair, you can go and have a look on the Google. I've got a couple Google reviews, and I have some on Yale, and those are genuine reviews from my clients.
Excellent. And please make sure you do that, because as you can see from Walata, she's very passionate as a solicitor. So which is, I think, is important. When you want to be able to gel with someone, you want to be able to interact with someone who you feel understands your cause, so they can deal with your matter fully and passionately, as for the full arm of the law, rather than just taking your money, if you're paying money, obviously, and you feel that nothing's being done. And I think it's very important as a service that you get the best service possible. What do you think your clients most enjoy about your service? I remember you mentioning things about being able to contact you pretty much, because you're a mother, you run a family, and you have a home that you run, but you always make yourself available. Would you maybe share a little bit more about your passion and commitment to your clients?
Okay, I am pretty much contactable 24/7. Please don't phone me in the middle of the night, but I am contactable.
Yeah.
At the moment, I am in this office pretty much by myself. Obviously, you're joining me now, which is great.
Yeah.
But I have divert. So if I'm not in the office, I actually still am in the office. My phone rings straight through to my mobile, which I never turn off. So clients can contact me via phone. I've got my WhatsApp on the business phone, so because clients are like, oh, can I send you some documents?
Right.
Oh, I can't upload them and send them by email.
Right.
So I've put the WhatsApp on there to make things easier. So that's general port of contact, emails, phone calls, text messages, WhatsApp. I like to communicate with the clients to keep them updated about everything that's going on. So email's a great thing. But every time I respond to an opponent, I always CC my clients in.
Okay.
Yeah, so they always so they're totally up to date of what's going on.
Brilliant.
Nothing's going on under the table that they don't know about.
Completely open.
Completely. It's their case.
And transparent. No, it's important. So at least people understand what's happening. They can see you on the ball all the time and have trust, knowing that you're working on their cause, which is fantastic. Brilliant. And if someone wants to actually contact you, what's the best contact details for you?
You can contact me by phone 0203 581 9293.
Okay.
Email me Walata, which is WALATA @Atalaw Solicitors. That's ATALAW Solicitors.com. You can WhatsApp on the telephone number, the mobile telephone number. 07507 783 240. I have a page on Facebook. You can go on yale.com and send me an inquiry. You can go on the website. So I'm contactable.
Pretty much through most channels, which is good. Most channels.
Twitter, Instagram.
Fantastic. Well, I really appreciate your time. I'm sure I'll get you back to be more, we can talk about other topics specifically, but I felt it'd be very important for, everyone, all of you, get to know you better and understand your passion for law and how you can help your clients. So thank you for your time.